What is up, Ben?
What is up, Chris? How are you?
I'm very, very good. I almost said good afternoon to you, but it's not afternoon anymore. It's evening.
It's 5 o'clock. It's kind of afternoonish. There's still sun. I see you're in a new spot.
Yeah, just some upgrades, that's all. Trying to clean things up a little bit, make more space for cigars and packing of said cigars.
Very nice. What do we have going on today?
We have Kyle with Warp Cigars. Should be a really, really fun night. But before we talk about that, how is your he shed? What's the temperature in there?
It's very good. It is 84 degrees in here.
That's not bad, man.
No, it raised the humidity up to like 80%, but temperature's down.
It's 75 here in where I am right now.
And we'll switch.
We got JJ Stogies. What's up, Jeff? Always happy to have you. And Kevin's son, of course. What's up, Kevin? Welcome, welcome. Thank you, guys. We're going to just give everybody a little bit of time to join in. But what we have going on tonight is we have Warp Cigars. If you're watching us for the first time, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Luxury Cigar Club. We are doing these every week. They're not going to stop anytime soon, and we have a lot of other really cool content coming. So make sure to do that. So the deals we have running today, Ben, actually are a 5 and 2 deal from Warp Cigars. Purchase any 5-pack Warp Cigars. You're actually going to get one of these La Relatos, which is what I'm smoking right now. I can never get this camera to focus.
You have to do that thing with the hand.
Right there, La Relatos. Gorgeous cigar, very, very good. I actually really enjoy the cigar with coffee. I enjoy a lot of cigars with coffee, though. But this one's really good. It's a nice smoke. I'll probably smoke 2 of them tonight. They come in a pretty cool little 5-pack, which is really nice. I love that. We're also doing a 20 and 7. So you buy 20, any 20 warped, and you're going to get 7 La Relatos. Of course, all of that is at luxurycigarclub.com. Go on over. Those deals are good while we're live. And I think we have some really nice stuff on the site right now, Ben. I think we have some Cloud Hopper, which is pretty hard to get a hold of right now. I know we don't have a lot of it, so if you're into that Cloud Hopper, which is a phenomenal cigar, you probably want to get that done before they're gone. I think I only have maybe.
That was one of the sticks we wanted to put in the box, but it was just unavailable for us when it came out. So I think the quantities are very small because of the tobacco. But we'll ask Kyle all about that. Absolutely.
So again, 5 and 2. 20 and 7, all of that is available at luxurycigarclub.com. But before we get too much further, Ben, I told everyone what I'm smoking. What are you smoking?
I'm smoking a beautiful Flor del Valle, the one we put in the box. Phenomenal cigar. Do we have any of those left?
Nope, we're out, and so is Warps. But they have a lot of other good stuff. We have the Corto. We have some of the Serie Gran Reserva, the cigar number 3 of the year, actually. Fantastic cigar. Really good. Those go quick, so also want to check those out. But before we talk too much longer, let's get Kyle in here and see what he's smoking. Kyle, welcome.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Living the absolute dream, man. Living the dream. So I know you and I talked a little bit just before we went live, but we need to convince Ben. Ben's over here. We need to convince Ben to grow a beard because we understand.
Guys, I'm trying. It's not easy. Not everybody has it easy like you guys.
Yeah.
It's not easy. We just took the time and the patience to do it.
And I know, and everybody said you have to get through the hump where it's super itchy and gross and
it's awkward looking. It's like you're going through your awkward teen years again, all over again. You know, you kind of got to deal with it. You know,
I'm looking forward to that.
It's puberty 2.0. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's adulthood puberty.
You've already done it once. It's easy the second time.
All right, I'll go a little longer.
So, Kyle, welcome. First of all, thank you for joining us. Kyle's out front of his house in Miami, or not Miami, Florida. I just assumed it was Miami. Is it Miami?
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach, that's the same thing. It's all Florida, right?
All South Florida, rainy, muggy, swampy. You know,
It's all humid. What are you smoking with us today?
I'm smoking bits of Havana.
Oh, how is it?
It's very delicious, very tasty. Perfect on the way to for your commute to work. It's about a half an hour to 40 minutes, depending on how fast you smoke. So 42, 4.5. So it's a very easy smoke to go through.
That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about Warped. Tell us about yourself. How'd you get into cigars? You know, kind of the normal story there.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, my father was, a big cigar smoker, and he would let me, like, when you come home from work, he would let me, cut the cigar for him, pick it out of the humidor, cut it, and then, hold the lighter for him while he lit it. And then instead of like sending me off and to go do whatever, little kids are supposed to do, go play, whatever, he would tell me to sit down and study with him, and he would tell me about the cigar and his perspective from a consumer. So from a young age, I learned about the differences between consumer issues, and then obviously much later on in life, I was worried about the manufacturing side. But from his perspective, we learned about from construction issues to packaging to sizes to all of that. It was all through just some time spent with my father in his study. So that kind of got kickstarted with it, and then it was just always around. This was during I was born in '88, so like early '90s, mid '90s, late '90s was boom. So everyone was smoking cigars, back then, especially my dad's circle of friends. And so it's just constantly around the house. And so when I turned 16, we were on vacation. We were in Nassau and Atlantis. We went to the cigar shop in Atlantis, and he got me a Monte Cristo #2 Habano, and that was the first cigar I ever had with my father. So that kind of started the journey on Cubans, and then the whole Cuban portfolio. My father smoked Cubans growing up, and when I turned 18, I lived 90 miles from Miami, and I just hopped in my car and drove down there and just started the journey from there.
That's fantastic. So I think, who else do we have on the show? I think the Viva La Vida brothers, their father smoked cigars also, and that's a story. But not a lot of people have that heritage, and it's a question we've talked about before. Is I have 3 kids. Ben has 2 kids, and like I'm pretty active when I light a cigar. I'm pretty active on keeping them. Like we're sitting out back on the patio, and it's like you guys go sit over there, swing or something like that. Stay separate. But my son started asking me questions a while ago, like, "Well, why do you smoke cigars?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, because of this, because of this." "Oh, well, do they taste good?" And like he had this intrigue that was really interesting to see. And it's like, as a father and a cigar lover, you want to be like, "Oh, I want to foster this," but also you're 12, so I don't know if I should foster this yet.
Well, I mean, like I was 7 when I basically like started like really going with like my dad when he would get home from work and going in and study with him. So like it's all about just like what you believe is. He believed that it'd be educational for me, or he looked at it as time to spend with one of his sons, but it started me on a path that, it's the only thing I've done in my adult life. So it's from when I was 18, but when I could legally go down there and work, that's when I went down.
That's one thing I noticed when we first got the 1988 in, and I read the story behind it and why it's named 1988, and it's named after Kyle's birth year. And I'm like, he is so young to achieve, the achievements that you made in this age. It was very surprising because there are not so many successful cigar entrepreneurs, let's call it. But you growing into it like that kind of explains it a little more. But most people get involved a little later in life and develop the skills and the palate and and have time to create a company, full-blown company that provides finished and delicious cigars.
Yeah, it's a different like aspect, I guess. Like, I've always known pretty much like what I wanted to do out of life. When I was 14, I had my first company in the paintball industry. I was playing professional paintball and making headwear for the paintball industry. And so when I needed a change, I was already smoking cigars at that point at 18, and like I knew what I wanted to do, and I just went for it. A lot of people say that they want to do something, but they're not willing to just walk in a bunch of factory doors and be like, hey, I want to make cigars. Will you help me? And everyone pretty much along Calle Ocho back then pretty much said no. And the one person who said yes is actually the same factory. That's the only factory that's still on Calle Ocho, and that's El Titan de Bronze, and that's Sandra. And so Sandy gave me the opportunity. She went on to craft one of the finest factories in the world, and we're still making cigars in Miami 13 years later.
So I've talked to Sandy from El Titan del Bronze a few times on the phone. She seems like the most amazing person. Like I felt like it was like my grandma welcoming me into her home, and I was just talking to her on the phone.
Yep. She's my Cuban mother for sure.
Yeah, she's really amazing. So is the whole warp line done in Miami or at El Titan del Bronze?
No, we have a very, very small amount of the portfolio made in Miami, solely because at El Titan de Bronze, they only craft the traditional Cuban way. So it's singular, it's not in pairs. So there's one roller, they're all master rollers from Cuba. So they roll 100 cigars a day, per roller. And so it's a very small production. We use 2 or 3 of the rollers to roll Colmena and Don Ronaldo. So think about that. It's 300 cigars a day. That's 30 boxes, a day. Now, not taking into consideration, she's also producing cigars for La Colina. She's producing cigars for Drew Estate. She's producing cigars for other clients as well as us, and her own stuff for tourists and people who come into the factory. And also, she sells short filler cigars to just the locals who come in. They want a $1 cigar, and they go get their coffee next door. And she's taking care of all the people that locally live there as well. So, we work with El Titan de Bronze, and then actually I ended up working with Anganorsa Elite, or back then they were Casa Fernandez. I ended up working with them because Sandy, I went to her and I said, Sandy, I need to make, more cigars. I need to make them, on a better price point. Because in Miami, it's very expensive to make cigars because it's American labor, American wages, everything with a lot of that. And so she said, well, I only trust one person, and that's Eduardo Fernandez over at Casa Fernandez. So she called over there. She got Paul Palmer on the line, and I drove over there 5 minutes later, and I met with Paul, and we've been with him ever since.
So is most of anything that's rolled outside of El Titan del Bronze, it's all Aganorsa. Yeah. And is it all Aganorsa tobacco as well?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Except for the wrapper that you have on a Relato, that's not, and it's Ecuadorian, so that's not Aganorsa.
Okay. And what's the tobacco that's used at El Titan del Bronze? Like, is it from all over?
From Aganorsa to ASP to, it's from all over.
It's from all over. Okay, fantastic.
It's long-standing relationships though that Sandy's had for the past, 10. She's been buying tobacco from people for 15 years. It's new.
Absolutely. No, I love it. So when did Warp launch officially? What was the first like the beginning?
The first year that I actually made cigars was 2007. Funny enough, I actually missed the grandfather date by 1 month on those cigars. So that was, so our first cigars were made in 2007.
Wow, how annoying was that to learn?
You question what the thought process is behind the FDA with that. It's like, but you eventually just have to realize that you're dealing with a governing body, and you just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's not worth losing. It's not worth getting mad or stressed over or anything like that, because it is what it is as it stands, and you just move about the day.
So what's going to be with the line? Are you going to reduce it? Are you going to, what's the plan now with the equivalency?
What's the plan with what?
With dealing with the new FDA rules.
Oh, with the FDA?
Yeah.
The plan is just to like we've always gone through. We intend to go through fully. Obviously, we've learned from when the regulation first came down that in the beginning everyone obviously stayed the whole thing and like made it this huge thing, but we didn't have the paperwork. what the FDA actually wanted. So after all these years, that what they claimed that they were going to regulate the industry, you know, a lot of things have changed since then. They've been to my office. They've come to do their inspection at my office before. So I've had the FDA, the guy who's heading up the regulation in front of me. I've had his entire team in front of me, you know, and, you know, so you kind of trying to get a read on them about what they know and like what they're looking for, you know, but in reality, they didn't really know much of anything. They were very, I don't want to say, they were just uneducated about what they were actually doing. Like they had to Google what a cigar was to find it. And they said that openly. You know, as soon as they came in, though, we're in a very lucky situation that, you know, because they come in and they have a right to inspect their premise if you're listed as a manufacturer. And so when they came in, I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, I know you're legally allowed to be here, so go have a seat. And our FDA regulation attorney is actually 20 minutes away. So I called her and she came over. And so we met with the FDA with our attorney with us, you know, because we didn't know what they were looking for, what they were actually entitled to. Because, you know, any agency could say, well, we want this, but they may legally not be entitled to it. So we were very fortunate for that. A lot of people that have been visited aren't fortunate that to have your attorney with you that heads up regulation to be there with you. So they're just very uninformed. They were using terminology that you would use in a pharmacy, like compounding and all these pharmaceutical terms. And we're like, that's not what you're dealing with here, you know, and you have to explain to them, like, you know, as simple as you can, because they don't understand really what's going on, the art behind it. They just see tobacco. They don't see the art, the tradition, the long-standing history. Trying to tell them that, you know, these rollers that are rolling these cigars have been doing this since they were 16 years old, and they're 45 now in Cuba. And they're like, yeah, but it's tobacco. So they're not. There's a disconnect between art form and actually what they care about. So
Science. Yeah.
yeah, so like, but then you learn like through their own paperwork, like it's not as bad in terms of going through the process as everyone thought. Is it unfair? Yes. But as a business, you need to just let that go and you need to deal with what's in front of you, because if you don't comply with it, then you can't operate. You know, and so you have to just follow the book as it's given. It's not as bad as people made it out to be years and years ago, because no one had the information. The FDA didn't know what they still don't know what they want. So it's kind of one of those situations where you just go with the motions, and if they say something's due, then something's due. And you're like, okay, well, here you go. You know, obviously, so it's an ever evolving regulation. It seems everything's always changing.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, do you have, like, I'm sure you have I know for a fact you have some new releases coming. Um, I'm assuming they might be delayed a little bit given everything that's happening, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But do you have a pretty decent backlog of blends and releases that you have access to that will, you know, fit into these regulation? Or because it's very expensive to bring a new blend in, right?
Well, it's expensive to bring a new blend in. So if you're going through the pre-market thing of it, like you're not. If I go down to Titan today, and I made a cigar that is, you know, a 50 by 2, let's just say as an example, something obscene. Okay, I can't leave. I don't have the SKU for that, so I can't bring that to market. I have to go through the new channel, and that's expensive. But if you created something that I made 9 years ago, then I can bring it back to life. You know, there's nothing against not bringing it back. I just need to file the paperwork to prove that, hey, I did make this before the date here. And we have all the invoices. We have all the purchase order. We have all the information we need. And we're like, here you go. Like, here's the proof that it was made back in 2007 or 2008, 2009. So I've been making cigars for, you know, 13 years. You know, so I have a long catalog to go through. So it's not really an issue. But, you know, sometimes if you don't have the SKU and you want to make a certain size, then you can't. Which is why I believe that in some brands and some newer brands, you'll see recycling of sizes. And it's just going to be something that I believe that consumers are going to have to, you know, just accept. Is that we are bound by the law. You know, I don't think any legitimate business is going to risk their business over making something that's illegal. So everyone just follow the rules, and you'll see recycled sizes. And we obviously have sizes we haven't released before that I've made back in 09, 08, 10. And you just have to pick what those are going to be for.
So I actually have another question, because we don't really talk about this much when we do these live events. But the question that I have is, how do you see this affecting the boutique push that's happening right now? I mean, there's a really massive, like, micro boutique even push that's happening. And how do you see this FDA stuff affecting those brands?
Well, there's a few things to that. I've been asked that kind of before, and fortunately enough, I've been doing this for a long time, so our SKUs are safe and secure. There's brands that are coming out that I don't understand where they're getting the sizes from. Unless the factory that they're working with is lending them, they can license the SKU to them. Unless they're licensing the SKU, then they may be able to do that route. But then there's some brands that are newer, and I mean, they were formed after the regulation came down in 16, that, they just keep pumping out new. And I'm like, well, where's that SKU? You hear some stuff about, obviously it's rumor, about what people are doing, and you're like sitting there with your eyes in the back of your head, like, what are you doing? But I don't know anything about all of that. I think that some people out there are in this thing that they're saying that because it's unfair that they're not going to listen to it. Okay, if they think the FDA is not going to do anything. I've had them in my office. They're a real thing. They came in, there's 5 of them, and they won't leave until you give them what they want. So they sit in your office all day long from 9 to 5. And they will not leave until you give them exactly what they want or what they're legally entitled to.
Yeah, that's got to be stressful. I mean, you spend all this time, especially, you or not the giant brands. The giant brands are probably like, fine, we'll do what we got to do.
Grandfather product, so it doesn't really matter. They can, if you have grandfather product, you can do whatever you want. It's not subject to testing. And that's the part that I believe that they should change. If anything, they're not going to get rid of the regulation, and I think that everyone can pretty much come to that conclusion. And while it is vastly unfair, it's just a reality that you kind of have to live with. I believe, though, they need to change the grandfather date to the date that they enacted the thing in 16. So then you have that 9-year gap of brands that came out that, like, what is the difference? Like my situation. What is the difference from a cigar crafted 30 days ago than a cigar that I crafted 30 days after the grandfather date in 2007? There is none. So I know where you got the date from, the Tobacco Control Act. I understand that, but it should not be. You can't backdate it 9 years and expect that to be like, that's not fair. That's not like the right way to do it. And they don't see it that way. They're just like, well, we have the right to do it that way. They have the right to change it. And we tried to tell them that. My attorney and I were like, hey, you need to change this. And like, you're trying to explain to them there's no difference.
Is that in their hands, though, to change, or is that something they have to take back and go through a bunch of more bureaucrats to change every little thing?
From what I understand is that they have the option to choose when to enact, because they have the right to do it from that date in 2007 to the date that they enacted. They just chose that date. So the FDA is its own entity. They really don't, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe they answer to anyone really, except the government, but, the federal government or their own entering body. So when they were trying to explain it to me, they were like asking, well, why? Why should we change it? And we're trying to portray to them that this is a cigar, its methods to be made have not changed for decades. I mean, it's not changed at all. So the cigar made in 2007 and one day after the grandfather date, if you were running a production run in your production just happened to be the day after the grandfather date, what is the difference? It was just a schedule. I mean, like, that's the thing that you were trying to get across to them. And they were very polite. They weren't, they're very polite. They know they're not wanted, and they knew that they were not wanted in my office. But they were very polite. We're obviously very polite. And it was, you know, they were asking questions about us, about how it may affect us as a business. And, you know, you try to tell them, obviously it all fell on deaf ears, but they didn't care, but they were trying to show that they cared. So I don't know, but it's going to be.
I mean, as far as the date, I'm just thinking, you know, logically, if they had to set like some date, it's always going to be a month before someone came up with something. So if they, you know, and being bureaucrats, somebody give that date, and that's it. You know, so you can't be too lenient. But again, what's the reasoning behind the 9 years, or why not 11? Why not? You know, why did they choose?
They just don't give it reasoning. They just don't.
Yeah, it's arbitrary, and it almost is like, well, we had to pick a date, so we picked a date. You know, they threw a dart, and we got to have some measuring stick, so that's what it is. But it doesn't make sense because some of these brands that have come up in that time frame, this is really detrimental to them, especially if you're a smaller brand that just doesn't have the finances to license a SKU or to pay the really large fees that are associated with registering a new blend or a new SKU. So it's interesting. We watch it pretty closely because a lot of what we do is share new things with the market. You know what I mean? In our model. So it's very interesting to us. But
it's different, you know. Sorry, my dogs are running around.
Okay.
So it is what it is. I don't know what new brands are doing, how they're coming out to market with new products, or if they're even doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's not my business, you know. So I've been asked that a lot about, you know, like I said before, though, luckily we've been doing this a long time, and you know our SKUs are safe, and you know it's just a weird thing, you know. The FDA is just very, very shallow in terms of what it knows and what it really wants. They just lumped it all together. They were like, well, we don't regulate vaporizers and cigars and this and that, so let's just lump it all together. And that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, I love it. So let's not beat that horse to death anymore, because I think everybody's kind of like up in arms and confused and just whatever with it. But tell us about the brand Warp. Where did the name come from? Where did the branding come from? Like, it's unique.
Well, the word Warped actually was my first company in the paintball industry, was Warped Customs. It was actually my nickname when I played paintball, on the back of my jersey and all that. So, you know, from a young age, it was part of just a large part of my life. And, you know, I built a rather large company in the paintball industry with it. And so when I came to cigars on the next phase of my life, it was like I just brought the name with me. It's initially the thought process was that it's something that you're used to, but it's just a little bit different. Like if a wood floor is warped, it's still a wood floor, but it's just a little bit different. And that's kind of the thought process that came into Warped. And then branding wise, I've always been very much into simplistic branding with an edge, and that's kind of where the whole Warped logo came from. I found a great developer to help me bring that vision to life, and that's how it started.
Cool. No, I love it. I really do love it. So what's your favorite cigar out of the Warped line?
All of them. If I make it, then I love it.
No. You gotta pick one. Desert Island cigar.
Yeah, I mean, I can't pick one, but I mean, if I were to pick one from each factory,
okay,
it would be Colmena from El Titan, and then it would be. Sorry, like I said, I have two very large dogs that are menacing around in the house.
That's okay.
It would be local Colmena from El Titan to Bronze, and then it would have to be, you know, GR88 is a very large milestone cigar for me, and you know I love that blend to death. It took 2 years to blend, so I'd have to go with GR88.
It's fantastic too. I mean, we sent it. We actually sent it in December of 2019, and then the announcement came out right after it hit that it ranked so high with Cigar Aficionado, and we were like, wow, that's awesome news for everyone in that situation. How did that feel? How did getting that accolade feel?
It was unique because we never thought that we would be on top 25. We're a very small company, and we produce amazing cigars, and we have an amazing family of retailers. And so when the list came out, from 25 and going, like, we followed it, we watched it, but no one in the office really thought that we would break anything. So I'm sitting there validating cigars, and obviously, you get, the further you get into the releases, you get 25 all the way to one. And so we're like, well, we're not here. We're not here. We're all right. We didn't do it. And then, so I'm validating cigars in my office. And then all of a sudden, one of my guys starts screaming, and I wasn't even looking or watching. He starts screaming and running through the office. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so he just started screaming number 3. And I was like, what? And he blew off. And then, we saw the list come out, and it was kind of like this really weird moment, because I'm like, I'm in the middle of like validating the shipment, and like I'm like, I can't like stop doing this, because like once I put my brain to something, I gotta continue doing it. And then it was also like trying to celebrate, all the accolade, all the work that my guys put in at the office. Like, we're a small team, so like it's everyone's achievement. And just then, after that all got through, then you sit down, you're like, 2 years of blending, not being happy with things, not being happy with the blend, me doing it, and just to see that, such an important cigar for a milestone. And at that point, it was 12 years in the premium cigar industry. And to see it break, number 3 without ever being top 25 for any year that we've been, in business. And it was just a culmination. And if any cigar deserved it, it was definitely that cigar. It was a long journey.
How did that transform your business, or was it a big turning point for you business wise?
In truthful reality, we were selling GR88 very, very well before that rating, because those who knew about it already knew that it was a top contender for, it was just a top contender. The blend was already there. We knew that. Our consumers knew that. Our customers knew that. Our retailers knew that. This is before the ranking. So when people started to congratulate us, they were like, we already knew that cigar deserved it. And, we're just happy that they saw that, Cigar Aficionado. And, while the accolade was there, it wasn't like business-wise, it's hard to track because that cigar sold so well anyway. But I think it was just a turning point for, everyone involved with Warps, from my office directly to Tapsa, to Sandra, who's been with me since I was 18. It was just like this culmination of all this work that everyone's together. Without her, I wouldn't have been in a position to meet Anganorsa, and then I wouldn't have been able to blend cigars down in Nicaragua. Without her, I wouldn't have. Who knows if I would have found a factory willing to take me in Miami, back then. And it was a project for everyone that kind of like culminated. And so it was just a really humbling experience to be a part of that.
We're very happy to see you there. Hey, let me ask you something, just a personal curiosity, really. But there was a lot of debate after number 1 was announced, and I wouldn't call it controversy, but there are a lot of conspiracy theories about how they select their number 1s, or from your experience with them, do you have to work with them? Do you have to anything like that? Have to send them samples? How does it work to even be nominated to be one of the top cigars of the year with Cigar Aficionado?
Their process, I don't know how they do their top 25. They pretty much put online how they actually do it. They take the highest ranked cigars of the year that they've done, then they resample them or re-smoke them and then rate them again, which is why you'll see GR88 has 2 scores, a 94 and a 95. So it's, from my understanding, which is how they listed on their website, is they just go through everything. Working for them, they've never once asked us for samples of anything. We've never sent them anything. I believe they go out and buy from the surrounding retail shops in New York City, which we were sold in all. So that's how I believe that they do it.
So the best advice would be if you're a becoming company, just sell a lot in New York so they can see you.
No, I think it's a little bit harder than that.
Just to be on the radar, just to get it, just to be reviewed initially, which
it's not as like, they know what platform they have, and I don't believe it's easy as being like, I want to be rated by you. It's not like the wine industry kind of, where you just send your wine off to get rated. It's not like that with them. Their process, I'm not entirely sure how all their decisions get made, obviously, but I don't believe it's as simple as just being like, here, just rate this. I believe that they choose, or they're monitoring the industry as much as you are, as much as I am. And I think that they look and see who's interesting, and then they smoke through, and then they do it that way,
So you mentioned wine, and that's something I wanted to bring up. I happen to know that you have a wine project that you do. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
No, I produce Napa Cabs from Howell Mountain and Pritchard Hill. We have a winery and in Napa, and so I've been doing that for about 3 years now. It's a little bit different in wine. You actually have to wait 3 years for your first vintage if you're going to create it. Luckily, we started, our first vintage was 16, so we've already been through 16 and 17, about to launch 18 this year. But it's named after Blue Monster and Jason Dumont. So Blue Monster is named after my two blue monsters that you keep seeing me look and make sure they're not destroying the house. So that's 100% Cabernet. And then Jason Dumont is my middle name is Jason. My father's middle name is Dumont. So Jason Dumont is a more Bordeaux varietal, proprietary inspired, project that I have.
So what's the wine industry like compared to the cigar industry? Are there comparisons, or are they just so unique?
No, it's actually very, very much similar. You have great people. You have people who love what they do. You have generational families that have been doing it for, quite a while, for generations. I mean, you have families like the Madavis, the Harlans, all these people that come together and, create something from Mother Nature for the enjoyment. And people get together, much like you do when you get together with your friends to smoke. And it's very similar. So, which is why, when I'm in Napa, I feel very much at home because of the type of people that I'm with. And they all love smoking cigars and just, enjoying the company. So it's actually very similar in terms of the outside, in terms of production and style and working with Mother Nature. It's very, very similar.
Well, we have a question here that's also kind of curious. A 976-212. We all know what that number is from, but what's behind the number?
It's actually a personal meaning that I've actually never told and never will.
No, not even now?
Nope.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's see what we have here. There is something interesting that we don't know if you want to talk about it or not. Something we discovered of yours just recently, a little pet project. If you don't want to talk about it, it's okay. And it's the drop site that you have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So when I first started making cigars, retailers actually wouldn't buy them. So I was very heavily on doing social media before social media was available really in the cigar industry. And the way to do that was through old cigar forums like BOTL, Asylum, Puff.com, all these things that a lot of people probably don't remember unless you've been, online in the cigar world for a while. And I would sell the cigars direct to the consumers through there. And that's really how Warped got its foot in the door. And so when, working at Titan, it allows me to create, projects all the time. So I can go down there and I can blend something up, but the material is not always there. So there may be enough material to do 300 cigars, and maybe enough material to do 300 cigars or 3,000 cigars. So, I'm like, well, this allows, you can't do that on a mass level though and distribute that cigar, out to your retailers. There's not enough product, especially where Warped is at this point. So it's kind of like my creative outlet. And if you've known me and the projects that I have, I'm very much always creating. I'm always, blending and always working. And I thought it was a unique way to allow consumers to experience different blends that, would never ordinarily come out because there's no way to actually do them on a commercial level. Some of the concepts that we have, actually, we do a unique program where it's a concept series. So we'll create concept 17 blend, and it'll be an early blend, and we sell it to the members to drop. They get them, we smoke them, then they wait a few months, we smoke them again together, and we start reviewing this so they can see the progression of an actual blend, how it goes and how it works. We can't do that on a worldwide release because you can't create that much. It's a small little unique program that I've created to kind of give back to consumers and what they've really done for work. And I think that a lot of people forget that we don't have sales reps.
You want to share the website with the viewers?
It's cigardrop.club. You can go check that out. All you got to do is sign up. It's completely free. You just got to become a member, and you can check out the offerings. But with Warp, we never had a sales team. Everything's in house with us. If you call our office, you're going to get me. You're going to get Michael. You're going to get Scott. You're going to get whoever gets the phone. So we have no one on the road, no one pounding pavement, no one randomly walking into shops. So we worked in a different angle to go to consumers, and then they went out and they helped us get into shops. And in this new world, this small batch kind of world of like small batch bourbon, small batch cigars, this and that, people are always wanting new. But in the cigar industry, as we always can't create new on mass levels. So that's kind of really what Drop is. You need to look into, what my world kind of is in terms of creating blend itself, but then also its identity.
It's very interesting. We saw that, and then when was it? Probably a couple months ago that I think we both. I don't remember getting any notifications lately, but I think I've signed up as well. Kevin Sun says he's signed up too, and I think everybody should check it out. It's an interesting project that I enjoy seeing. So another thing that Kevin just asked, it just reminds me. I'll just rephrase it a little bit. So you're into wine a little bit. Do you like pairing cigars with wine better than most people would say coffee or whiskey or bourbon or anything like that?
No, that's a little bit more difficult. When you start pairing wine and cigars, you have to choose. Are you trying to pair your cigar with your wine or your wine with your cigar? Because one can completely overpower the next. So I don't really pair them like that. Wine is, I obviously I drink wine and smoke cigars. It's not a problem. But in terms of finding a perfect pairing, I rarely do that. It's kind of, you'd be better off to do, well, for me anyway, sparkling water, your coffees, your whiskeys, your bourbon. Those are the better options because you really have to dive in to find that perfect pairing when it comes to wine.
So you're saying either the wine complements the cigar or the cigar complements the wine. It will never be like the perfect match or just one enhance the other.
Yeah, one's going to help the other one. That's there's never going to be like finding a perfect mesh is difficult because if you're trying to drink like, a Premier Cru or a Grand Cru, Burgundy, you're not going to want the cigar. You're just going to want the wine, so like it's a very delicate balance. You can find a cab that will go with a cigar, but finding that perfect harmonious thing is it's kind of difficult to do.
Very interesting. I never thought of it like that. I always thought about it as going together.
Not with wine. With bourbon and whiskey and coffee, you can do that all day long. Wine's a little bit different just because you have tannin structure, you have fruit, you have juice. So if you have a spicy cigar and you have, high oak, jammy Syrah, the Syrah is gonna overpower that spice with fruit and oak, and then you got wine. That's it.
Do you just real quick, where can people find your wine? I mean, is it available nationwide? Is it only available in a few places?
No, it's mailing list only. So we don't sell it to shops. We don't sell it to wine shops, retailers. You have to sign up for the mailing list, and it's available once a year. It's super small production. We have 2 acres, and an acre for tab and an acre for Syrah, and so it's only about 25 to 50 cases, depending on Mother Nature and what she decides to give. So super small production, 25 cases, 300 bottles.
So I know this is a cigar show, but we're talking about wine. I actually live in northern Arizona. Do you know anything about wine country here in northern Arizona?
I do not. I do not know anything about northern Arizona wine.
Yeah, so we have a really big wine movement, I guess. Actually, like a block from my house is where most of it is grown and produced, and then outside of Tucson, a lot of it is grown as well. And do you know the band Tool? Of course, you were born in '88, so I'm sure you're familiar with Tool. And the lead singer Maynard Keenan is really big into the wine industry here in northern Arizona. So check it out one day. Maybe there's something here for you.
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot for sure.
There's a lot of wine coming out of here. It's crazy. But so I mean, tell us what's next. Like what's on the horizon for Warped? What's the new exciting release coming that everyone's going to be looking for? Cloud Hopper was wildly popular. The 88 is wildly popular. The rest of the line is phenomenal. It's not as largely spoken about, but I actually find myself going to this La Relato quite often with coffee. You know, it's a really nice breakfast cigar, something not too big, not too long. What's new? What's next?
So we have 6102R coming out, Maestro del Tiempo 6102R, which is probably the cigar that everyone is going to go for. We don't use the terminology, but we see it all the time. Considered a unicorn. So it's Maestro del Tiempo's blend, obviously tweaked, and then with the addition of Medio Tiempo. You'll notice it's 6102R comes in a 100-count cabinet only. So it's 100 cigars, per cabinet. And we released it, the original one, 3 or 4 years ago. And so that's the next horizon, and that's the one that people are going to clamor over. Once we release it again, we're not going to be going back to it. We'll put it back in the vault, and we'll come back to it maybe another 5 or 6 years down the line. So that's the one that I would look out for. We have La Hacienda First Growth, which is a more fuller body La Hacienda in a 4.5 by 48. Boxes of 25 that will come out later this year as well. And then we may have a few things here and there that are coming out that are more limited out of Miami, but we're not going to go too much into those at this time.
So I think we have a lot of that 6102R on order. Do you have any idea when that might come out?
Probably in the fall. When in the fall, I'm not 100% sure. It all goes off of when I want to release it. When we get cigars and we get shipments in, I validate them. Every single shipment that comes in the door gets validated on a repetitive basis. So it will come in, and I may hold it in my storage for 4 months, 5 months, until I believe that it's ready to go to consumers. So it's going to be a decision that will be made, a month out. Okay, it's ready to go. Let's get the retailers, let them know. Let's get them ready for it, and then we'll ship it out. But there's no exact date at this time.
Jeff Jack JJ says he's born in 1988. Man, that's when I started hauling cars. So I'm sure you get that often in this industry, especially. I was born in '87, so I'm just a little bit ahead of you. Ben's a little bit ahead of us, but it's funny to see. This is something I've always talked about cigars, being able to connect all the different corners of society together. You know what I mean? You're gonna have the banker, you're gonna have the businessman, you're gonna have the trucker, you're gonna have the lawnmower, whoever it is, together smoking cigars, and it's like the great equalizer. It just really puts everybody on common ground, and that's why we appreciate it so much. And Warped is a brand that I think Ben will remember, like a long time ago, probably the middle of last year. I'm like, dude, we gotta get Warped in the box. This is one we gotta get. We gotta get this. We gotta get this. And we're like, which one? which one do we put? Which one do we send? And we went through the line and we did our tastings and everything. And it's like, we kept coming back to this 1988. And Ben had the question. He's like, wait, 1988? He was born in 1988? So we started doing some Googling and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, if you have the palate, you have the taste. And I can tell you guys put 2 years of work into it because it shows. I probably have smoked 3 or 4 boxes of this.
Okay, actually, let me ask you a different question. How old is AJ Fernandez?
I believe he's in his 40s.
40s? I thought he was in his 30s too.
I think he just turned 40. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe he's early 40s, if anything. So.
Well, the company has been around since 1995, and he was born in 1979.
79?
Yep.
He just turned 40.
So 41.
Almost.
So.
Well, it doesn't matter. Age is just a number. If you have the work ethic and you have the passion, it really doesn't matter. Just you get to it. You get to it. So I was telling before we added you on, we were talking about the what's it called? The Skyhopper. Skyhopper? Can you tell us about that a little bit? We have some in stock, I know now. We wanted it before. We wanted to put it in the club last year at some point, but it was lost. You guys were like, listen, it's so limited that there's no way. But tell us about the tobacco, about why it's so limited, and
it's not so much the tobacco. It's just, you know, the cigar itself and the blend is phenomenal, and it comes down to, and I've mentioned this a lot in interviews because people ask us why is product always out of stock with you guys, and why is this and why is that. And number one is obviously, you know, people enjoy our cigars, and, you know, we're humbled by that, and so we sell out of inventory, you know, and obviously we don't increase in rush production. That's just, we don't do it. When nothing changed about how I handle production when GR88 was ranked the #3 cigar of the year from Cigar Aficionado. Not one singular thing changed. Not, don't put extra pairs on it. Don't ramp it up. Don't do this. Don't do that. Just keep it going the same way that it's always been, because consumers are used to that. And one thing that I've always stated is I want people who smoke warped, the quality and consistency of it, from the day you smoke your first La Hacienda, your first GR88, if you smoke it 3 years down the road, I want that experience to be the same. So that is a very hard thing to do if you're trying to, you know, grow, because you have to make more cigars in order to grow. We prefer to put it in quality. We prefer to keep things at a slower pace. And by doing that, we create more quality product and we create more consistent product. And I believe that is where consumers have really gravitated to Warped, is that they know and they trust us to know that when they pick up a Warped, they're going to have that experience. And the way we do that is by controlling what we actually produce.
Yeah, I mean, I know other brands, other manufacturers have hit top 5, top 10 of that part, just crank production to the maximum on some of this stuff, and it's very, very evident sometimes where you like get like a batch and you're like, oh, this is a great cigar, and then 3 months later it's like, well, this is a different cigar. What's going on here? Quality is not the same, construction is not the same, flavors even different, and that's a huge risk you run.
Correct. So for us, we always have to say to ourselves, like, we're always thinking about the consumer first and foremost. And, you know, it's my job, it's my name on that box, whether it's company name as it's Warped or my name is actually physically on that box. You know, when you see, you know, Warped, you see Kyle Gellis in the box, you know that you're going to get a quality product, consistent product. And you have to decide yourself as a business what's more important. And for us, it's the happiness of our consumers. That's it. And so nothing has changed about it, which is why we have to kind of tell retailers as well as consumers, hey, we will run out of this eventually, and it will go on a back order, and you will have to wait to get more probably. But you do that, and I promise you that we'll stay consistent.
you think the bottleneck is actually the rollers in this case? You don't feel like if you added trained new rollers to the same specifications and quality control standards that you have, it won't be possible?
It's not a question of that. It's a question of I don't even want to attempt it, because if I attempt it, then that production will go into the public. And then if my experiment was wrong, then consumers suffer and I won't have that. So I don't even broach the subject. It's no, don't crank the production. Don't do anything to increase production. Keep it the same, keep it slow, keep it steady. Aging is the same, nothing is different. And that's just the reality of it. For Warped anyway, is that we just decided to, it doesn't matter if we got number 3, number 2, number 1, number 10, number 20, it wouldn't have mattered. It never will change. I mean, look at
demand changes. So that's the only thing that changes. You can look at I look at like luxury watchmakers. Patek Philippe. I won't look at Rolex because Rolex, they pop out 1 million watches a year. But all the other boutiques, the Marpiquet and so on and so forth, it doesn't matter. It's the same as you. The demand can grow, but they'll still produce the same number of pieces a year because that's what they can. So I see where you're coming from with this.
It's just the way of life for Warped. That's the way that we are exclusively different, is that we just choose to be different by actually doing the opposite of what any normal business would do, and that's increase production. And we just don't want to. It's just that we're not willing to sacrifice the quality.
No, I love it. Well, I have one more question for you, but before we get to that, I just want to make sure everybody knows that 5 and 2. At LuxuryCigarClub.com, if you buy 5 Warped, you're going to get 2 La Relatos. If you buy any 20, you're going to get 7. Make sure to check out LuxuryCigarClub.com, and also check out Cigars Drop to see get an eye inside the blending process that comes with some of the smaller batch the last question is what's your opinion? Luxury Cigar Club is not a new model in this case, but the clubs are picking up. More clubs on the market, like what we do, like what other clubs do. What do you think about subscription clubs and things like that?
I think you're breaking up a little bit, Chris.
Yeah, you're
in and out.
Sorry, that's the question.
I didn't hear it.
I
in and out.
Hold on.
All right, let's see what he does.
I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Now you can hear you.
No? Okay. Ben, I'll let you finish up. I'll figure this out.
No, I can't. Okay, he'll be back. Let's see if we have any other questions. Usually we have the club members, the followers, ask some questions. But today, let's see what we have. Another question from Kevin. What is one of the most crucial, valuable lessons you've learned through your experience in the cigar world? Do you have anything that you can say, this is like, if you take one piece of advice from me in this world, this is it?
It would be to trust who you work with. A lot of people will work with you, but they don't have your back. So just really trust on work.
Only count on yourself, basically.
Not that. It's all nothing here. Like I said before, like I was just in for 7 years before I asked her about Nicaragua, and he said, "I only trust one person." And if she said that, the only person I was out. And then that was for me, and so that was like that was it. She trusted them, and that was enough for me.
Okay, yeah, because it is true. This industry, people, it's a beautiful community. There's no doubt about it, but you have to really know who you align with, and and that's part of what we do. We like working with companies and people that we have a good rapport with, because it's not just about taking product and pushing it. It's about creating relationships and trying to grow everyone together as a community. Because cigars are different than any other product that you can, or almost any other product. Maybe some wines and alcohols also have this community, not vibe, but like backbone. That is what creates it. So that's good. So we're having, I guess, terrible. Are we still echoing?
Yeah, I'm echoing myself.
You're hearing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't know what to do. Chris left us. Let me see one thing. Either way, we're almost done. We're at an hour. Usually we do a little perf afterwards where some of the members come, and if you want, you're more than welcome to join and say hi. I'm sure some of them have questions. Would love to say hello to you as well. I'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
And let me see. Last thing we can do here is there still echoing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll cut this a little short. I'll do another last quick commercial. And today we are, or not we, but Kyle is very generously giving 2 La Relatos for every 5 cigars from Warp that you buy. And if you buy 20, you get 7 of them. And are they event only? No, they're not event only cigars. Okay.
No, they're
regular production. Okay, and you can get them here at Luxury Cigar Club. And that's it. So we want to thank you again so much for coming and for being part of our club and working with us. We really enjoy your cigars, and I know all our members do as well. And
thank you.
Absolutely. You're always welcome, and hopefully we can do this soon again. That's it. I'll send you a text with our address, and hopefully we'll see you on the flip side in a few minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Take care.